We, the people, tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We, the people, are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route and how fast. Almost all the world's constitutions are documents in which governments tell the people what their privileges are. Our Constitution is a document in which we, the people, tell the government what it is allowed to do. We, the people, are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited. There's a clear cause and effect here that is as neat and predictable as a law of physics. As government expands, liberty contracts.
Hello.
Hello, Christina. How are you?
I am good, Brian. How are you?
Good. Welcome to Candid Conversation. We have Christina Delaney for Commission, District 8, Seat B. Did I say that correctly?
You did. Yep.
Okay.
8B. Yep.
Robert is running a little behind due to traffic in town, and it's not really funny, but that's actually the truth. He just told me that he pulled in, so it will be a couple minutes and he'll be on, and he'll get caught back up, So this is not really a hard thing at all. This is what we do. We give the candidate the opportunity. You have an hour to talk about yourself and everything that you want to get in, whether it be about your campaign, election, history about who you are, all that kind of stuff like that. And so we want to hear about Christina Delaney and what she wants to do for her district. So, with that being said, there you go, Christina. You have the floor.
There you go.
All right.
Well, who am I? I started in East Tennessee about 25 years ago. My daughter and I, we were driving across country in a big old truck with our dog, and we were headed back out west to live by her father again. And we kept seeing these signs for the aquarium. So we wanted to stop there and have some fun on our trip. And so we pulled that big old truck into Gatlinburg, and we ended up staying for a few days and just really enjoyed it a lot. And it just touched us. And we thought about at the time staying, but we did not do that. We went back. But we only were gone a year, and we came back a year later and had a better idea of what we wanted. And we thought we were going to move to Maryville, but we moved to Townsend. And she went to Heritage High School, and we ended up moving to Maryville, then Knoxville, and now and last 6 years I'm back to Townsend. Came back to Townsend kind of thinking this is where I'm going to wrap things up, and got here and just started to see that things were a lot different than they were the first time I had lived here. And so I went to my very first city meeting of any kind, and that was talking about actually I think about the bike paths, the Clayton bike paths. And so I remember I had seen Corey Clayton at that meeting, and talked to him then, and asked him some questions like what was the plan that he had for Townsend. And he had said he just wanted to leave it the way it was, this kind of thing. But so that was my first meeting, and now we're here 6 years later, and I'm on the Planning Commission. I've been on the CPAC Commission. We just wrapped up the 10-year plan, and now I just see that things are really happening in Blount County, and I don't think they're talked about enough. And we really didn't understand what was going on around us, and we had a lot of infrastructure changes and not a lot of explanation. And so I just decided I wanted to figure things out, and as I started figuring things out, I just decided that I wanted to be a part of it, to be a part of the planning.
Yeah. Just quick question, real quick. Were you part of Townsend when they made the highways in the beginning? Seems
Yeah,
like it was the late '90s when I graduated. It was all going on then.
I heard it was quite a
Yeah,
storm at that time. I did miss that one.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So,
but
but everything else, though, outside of what everything you just explained, all the reasons you love the community that we live in and all that, but traffic. Everybody talks about traffic, don't they?
hmm
Yeah.
boy, imagine when that Walmart goes in. Imagine what the traffic is going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I don't know if I I don't know what to think about the Walmart, just to be quite honest with you. You know what I'm saying? So I've only lived on this side of town
Yeah,
for about a little over a year. I was on
yeah,
the other side of town for 10 years, so we had
yeah.
all that already there, and because it was already there and available, it wasn't like a big deal. But obviously, the traffic was because they built that end up with Walmart, Aldi's on the other end down there by William Blunt Drive. Excuse me. So
Yeah, I used to live in Maryville down when they built that, actually. I used to be off of Best Road. I
yeah,
guess by Farah. Yeah.
yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So that went in when I was there, but not all of the other things went in. Now, when I drive down there, I can't believe how much is there. Yeah.
okay, so I, what do you want to do for your district? Do you want to talk in detail about maybe some ideas that you have, or you know what you plan to do? You know, if elected to, commission, that kind of thing.
Well, what I'm finding out as I'm talking to people and getting messages and things is I just feel like people just have not had a voice. And I know in Townsend, like we used to have a big voice, and that voice is not really there anymore. Like everyone's very quiet. I think they just don't feel like no matter what they do is really going to help. So I think being the voice for the district is the most important thing. Is making sure that you hear what they need, hear what is missing in their lives, hear what the problems are, and just start working on them. Just start trying to make life better for people instead. Start to manage what's going on. No, I know a lot of people are talking about transparency. They all are talking about that. Well, I'm not talking about it. I went in and I found out, hey, how you doing? I got a lot of information because I want to know what's going on. I don't feel like we're really understanding what's happening. And when I did that, I found out how much money is being poured into this area. I still don't really understand why it's all landing here and, not distributed a little bit better throughout the state. But that's kind of what I've been looking into.
When you say money distributed here,
Hmm.
I don't understand that. Can you explain?
Yeah, there's uh, I guess my total is $700 million has landed in our little corridor over there. I think the transportation part is 340-ish million, and that was just given to us. Like that Pellissippi Parkway wasn't going to be built for another 10 years, and then all of a sudden the state got a lot of money, I guess, because of COVID and because of all of the people moving in, and they started handing out some money and I guess it was decided that this corridor was going to open, and so they gave us a whole lot of money, a whole lot of money. Let me pull up my website. But so that's what was really surprising when I first found that out, and because nothing had been talked about, and even this water line, we had somebody who I believe was on the water district the whole entire time that I was coming to meetings, and I never heard him say that, and he was in charge of the planning of the town. So a water line came in and everyone says it's a backup water line, which yeah, Townsend needed a backup water line. Nobody's going to argue that, but they got a lot of money for that water line and it could feed 25,000 people. Well, there's not even 5,000 right now. So, they're just built way above capacity and they hooked it up to a grid. Now, exactly understanding fully what that means is something I still need to work on. But to me, it means that it's hooked up with all the other communities locally. So it's kind of a big deal, when you say you're putting in a backup water line, and instead you've hooked up to a grid and you've increased capacity, but for five times, and didn't explain it and didn't say that was happening, and put all these pump stations in and all, and we don't understand exactly what that means, and we didn't, you just keep seeing neighbors, and we keep talking, and what's going on? Why did they raise the power lines 10 feet? Why did they bring in this huge water line? Why? And nobody knew. So I just decided to start looking into it.
Okay,
And
okay. So hang on, let's back up because that was a whole lot of information there. You talked
okay,
about money funneling in from the state and then
yeah,
obviously water lines. So let's go back to and Robert, hey man, welcome. Happy birthday, bud. I know
Thank you.
traffic got you, that kind of thing. And
Dude,
if
it
you
was
got
terrible out there. Any which way you go, it
so
didn't matter.
if you got anything to chime in, you obviously jump right on in there. So I didn't know that we were going to be informed like this. I really thought Kath or Christina was going to go into her. I don't know. This is what you're running on, though, right? I mean, this.
Transparency, yeah,
Okay.
transparency. I want to know what's going on, and I think everybody has a right to know.
Okay.
And it's fine, whatever it is, it is. Just tell us the truth, let us know, and let us understand what's happening. And if you're building this great big city, we should have a voice in that.
So you think they're trying to build a city in Townsend? Is that what you're trying to
Yeah,
say? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So did you pull up your thing about the money that you wanted to? Because
Uh,
I'm interested in that. I didn't know. Did you hear about the $700 million? If that number's right.
that number's right.
So
Six
is
hundred
that
forty-six million dollars in public fund is moving through this district. 335.5 Pellissippi Parkway extension, 45 million in ARP infrastructure grants, 6.6 million in Townsend water grants, and there's there's more than that. But
Holy cow.
wow?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I can share if you want to see.
I mean, do you have that option? I don't know if you do. So down here, you'll see a share
Yeah,
screen, and you'll
I got
see
it.
okay.
Let's see this one.
Look at that. She does. Here we go. There it is. And then I'll just do this. How about that?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
this is
and I saw Jerome Moon at our Christmas parade, and I had just found out all this, and so I went and talked to him at the Christmas parade, and I asked him. I said, how did you get all that money over here? Why did it not go to North Knoxville, who, my goodness, they've need that money for decades, right? Why did we get it? And he said, I was at the meeting. I don't know what that means. I was at the meeting. I don't know what that meeting was or why the other guy wasn't there, but yeah, there is a lot of money coming in right now and really no real explanations.
oops.
A lot of eminent domain. I'm hearing from people a lot of that, and that stuff lasts for years, and those people get told they can't talk about it for years. So when it's happening, you don't even get to talk about it.
Intimate.
That's really wrong.
Okay, say that again. Intimate domain.
Yeah.
So
What I'm finding out is when you're in the middle of an eminent domain case, like if you're fighting it in any way, you're not allowed to talk about it.
Right.
Oh, it's got like a
Yeah.
some sort of
Yeah.
what's the right word?
Gag order, I guess you call it, right?
Yeah, there you go. Gag order. Okay, yeah.
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 So, and what was interesting was the town plans that we were doing, the Townsend Town Plan, which is the 10-year plan, land use plan, and also Blount County was doing one, and they both started sort of at the same time. Like I guess Blount County started a little bit sooner, and I really thought they had wrapped it up years ago. And ours just kind of continued to wait. They kind of had all these delays, and we didn't really understand. Well, when I started looking into things, I said, "Oh my goodness, they're both doing the same thing. They're both taking almost 3-4 years to do these plans. Why is that? Well, in the meantime, that's when all the infrastructure got laid. So that's kind of disheartening,
Yeah. Yeah. Shirley Ann Rupert says she constantly receives offer to purchase her home, and she lives in Wallen.
I heard a lot of Wallen homes are getting scooped up. Yeah.
So, and when you talked about that coming to the district, you're talking about District 8 specifically, right?
Say that again.
When you talked about in your
this money, yeah.
Yeah, it's District 8 specifically, nowhere else.
Well, it's maybe not District 8 specifically. It's
Right.
any district affected by the Pellissippi Parkway.
Okay, because that would be like the Rockford community into, I don't know, is that Wallen
It's coming straight in. Yeah.
I don't know what they would, Porter slash, I don't know where, you know what I'm saying, in that area right there.
I probably have it in this library here somewhere. I probably do. I have all kind of things in here.
Is that like public to share?
It's on my website.
Why don't you plug your website then?
ChristinaDelaney.com.
ChristinaDelaney.com.
Yeah. and it has just a whole section on library. I just keep putting things in there. I need to catch back up to my FOIA requests because I did put a lot in and they're not responding. So I need to. I have a little time now. I can do it, but I've been writing letters for years to people, so I have those in here too. Problems I've seen in the Smoky Mountains and the de-annexation. I sent a letter to every mayor in Tennessee. I tried, and I have that in there. Here's our District 8 map.
Hang on,
Um,
I'll pop it back up there again. There you go. Keep going.
yeah, there's just here's the water that we're talking about.
Okay, so
Let's see.
talk about that because you explained about the money, which is odd to us. We didn't know, and that's pretty good information. Why is
Yeah,
there a budget? Would you say it was the other night 224
274 million.
million, and then we got this surplus of, would you say, almost 70 million coming to this region? Am I saying that
um,
correctly?
yeah. I have to go back to. I'm not good at memory numbers. I have to
Well,
go
no,
back
it
to.
was 65 million. We'll just say, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Was
right here,
yeah.
and then
Look at that.
there's all kind of documents
And
here about it.
so you're talking about Jerome Moon.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I saw him at the Christmas parade, and I went and talked to him. Actually, he was very nice to talk to. I don't think that the things that he said were completely honest. I'll say the thing that drives me the craziest about Jerome Moon is that he brought all this money in here that I'm talking about, like $700 million he brought to our area to pretty much expand, develop, whatever you want to call it, and then he comes in here and running on stop the development. I think that's extremely unfair of him to do. To
well,
come in, he should have run on something different than that.
we talked about it last night, that what he says, no taxes or no new or however it was, and we're like,
Yeah,
he gave the largest increase of taxes
yeah.
in
See,
in the county history. So I mean, now he's running on not ever. It just doesn't make sense. So
it just doesn't make
That's
sense, and
crazy.
sadly, people will just fall into that. And I just wish he had run on something genuine. I mean, you
yeah.
just brought $700 million in here. You do not want to stop developing.
So I put your website in the chat, and it actually brought up your picture and all that, which was kind of neat. So,
Thank you.
and then William Goins says East Miller's Cove, but those hillbillies ran out Ford back to Detroit. Is that true?
But
He claims that Ford tried to come to East Miller's Cove and they ran him back to Detroit. I don't know. It's not the first time I've not heard that. I've heard that before, so I just was wondering.
okay, well, I thought you meant A Ford and they ran him out or something. Okay, that's
Ran.
why I giggled.
It says, but those hillbilly rednecks ran Ford back to Detroit with their tails tucked. I don't know. Maybe he'll elaborate in the chat. I don't know. I thought there was some validity to that. Maybe there's not. I don't know. All
Well,
right.
you hear
So
a lot of stories like that from years ago, right? A lot of people had got ran out of town.
that's true. So this water infrastructure that you're talking about, because um, you think it ties into grids, because without
Yeah.
putting words in your mouth, explain
Yeah,
what
I
you.
do. I think I honestly believe that there's a water study going on. It's been going on for years with I don't know why Arconic is involved, but that they're involved, and then Maryville College and UT, and they're doing a water study. And when I look it up, it looks like it probably is going to turn out that yeah, the water isn't the greatest, and now you're going to have to do something about it. And look, we already have everything kind of already in place, so it's not going to be that hard to do.
Because it was already put into place, is what you're saying, correct?
Yeah, that's what it seems
Yeah.
like. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I say, that's what I just want. I just want transparency to tell us what is going on. Why did you do that? Who are you talking to? I'm starting to think that it's just like a regional plan that we're not completely involved in. Maybe in Knoxville, Sevier County. They might. I think there is a regional plan. I started asking our planner, who was here at our planning commission meeting, who the regional planner is and that kind of thing. But I think there's a step ahead, a step above that I'd love to know about. The river lines and the blue line and all these kind of things. All these. Here's something interesting I found out. When they brought Smith and Wesson in.
Yes.
Do you know one of the requirements was that they have to put in some of the bike trail? I thought that was
Really?
very interesting. Like that's what they're asking people to do when they come in is put in bike trail.
To make it more desirable, so
Yeah.
it just doesn't look like some sort of warehouse, out in
I
the
think
middle.
it's also a way to get it paid for because they definitely want a full, bike trail
From there to
everywhere.
Knoxville.
So I
Yeah.
guess maybe that's the plan to get it paid. But those kind of things would be nice to know, right? What is the plan? Those are the kind of things.
Yeah, they definitely don't previous to everything for sure.
And
Yeah.
where would we find that?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't started looking for it, but I guess the blue line, I've looked a little bit at that. That I think
Okay,
that's what they
so
call it, the
look
blue
here.
line.
It's called the Bronco Adventure. And
Yeah.
Between Shirley and William Goins, Shirley Rupert says Bronco Off Road Park East Miller's Cove was canceled. Currently is being discussed for Wares Valley. Uh,
Okay.
and William says they're taking out all of the dams set up to control Little River. I think it has something to do with um, darn it, I forget the dam. Robert, what's the name of it?
Perry's,
Yeah, Paris
Perry's.
Mill.
Perry's
Paris Mill.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, that's confusing to me. I mean, I need to look into that a little bit more, I guess. But I just talked to a lady and she was telling me that they're taking them because of flooding. I heard they were taking them because it's dangerous. I know that what I've read is there's been four deaths at Perry's Mill for, I don't know what that period covers. I think a very long time, and obviously it's used a lot.
I think
Um,
it, from what I looked up, it goes back like 60 years.
in 60 years, there's been four deaths.
Yeah, they say whenever they tout that, they make it sound worse because they'll say, 4 deaths in the last 20 years. But
Hmm.
if you go looking and digging, you can't find anything else for a long time.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so that's confusing. I did talk to the fire chief, Don Stallions. He's the fire chief in Townsend, and he was very adamant that it's super dangerous. He really felt it was, and he was very serious about it. So you got to take that to be okay. There is some danger, and they call it like a widowmaker or something like that.
I
So
don't. So, man, I grew up swimming there, and so we knew
yeah,
where you were supposed to, and
exactly,
that kind of thing. And accidents happen. Accidents happen
exactly.
at was it Rockford Dam? There was an accident there with the colas and other people that try to brave it with what are those kayak like things? I don't know. Never done it, so
Mhm.
that kind of stuff like that.
Yeah,
And then
I think there's a lakes have a lot higher death rate than those rivers do
I
for
mean
sure.
Coulter's Bridge. You
so have you
know,
heard of flooding there though? I've not heard much about flooding.
So I remember when it flooded once, but it flooded the whole river. So from
Yeah,
Townsend all the way to wherever I mean, it was flooded
yeah,
everywhere. So I mean, we watched
yeah.
was it debris come down through there, and when it was hitting those bridges, it was just destroying like little
Mm,
sheds and stuff like that that made its way down through there. So, but that was, gosh, I
yeah.
can't remember. It was a long time ago too. So I don't know people
I
that are.
guess I'm having, yeah.
Go ahead.
So I guess I'm just having trouble understanding the argument so far.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
but I'm certainly willing to listen, and safety is important, and so is community, and that is a place of community. You
So
know.
they changed the rules based off of that word safety. They're like, um, that they know better than the rest of us all of a sudden. You know what I'm saying? And
Exactly.
so,
It's
just to
been
be
fine for all
safe,
these years, and now all
just
of a sudden it's not fine.
well, yeah, I mean, it may not be fine. There may be.
Right.
How do we
Agree.
protect everybody? And just to change something in the name of safety because of those very reasons is not a qualified answer to me. Sometimes,
I agree.
I think they
Totally.
need to do something on 411 down there, headed towards Madisonville. There's all the time. There's head-on collisions right there. You know what I mean? I forget the name of the area. You know what I mean? If you want to talk about changing or fixing something, maybe
Yeah.
you change it right there. You put a slow down trap in. So I don't know. You know what I mean? And I'm just talking out. So
Well, you make a good point because you're saying that there's something continually happening, and that's when you really need to take a look at something. When there's something continually happening, if something kind of rarely happens, then you need to realize that.
well, I think all of it's been alcohol or drug related, but there's been way
Mm,
more deaths there in the last 20 years than there has been at Perry's Mill.
yeah,
So, and we're
Oh
talking
yeah.
about generations of kids jumping off the dam in that
yeah,
swimming spot. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
my kids did. I did.
yeah. Well, it's just like the Y. I mean, you'll never. I swim there a lot, and you'll never see a kid from there ever. They don't come there anymore ever since they got told they can't jump off the rocks. So how long ago was that? That's a
I,
long time ago. They're
I,
never there.
I was lucky to be able to experience all of that,
No, I know.
So I miss that now. At my age now, I would never jump off it. But
I never did to begin with, but
when
yeah.
I was 15, 16, 17, I
Yeah, it
guess
was
into my
fun.
late 20s, until they told us we weren't allowed to anymore. But
Mm.
again, that was probably more dangerous in that little spot than Perry's Mill,
It's
because
dangerous for sure.
well, we were sitting up on the rock waiting for people to come fish
Yeah,
down the river.
that was
So
funny, right? That was so funny.
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those were the days.
So I know we didn't talk a whole lot so far about but we're 30 minutes in. You want to be transparent, obviously.
Hmm.
Who's your opponents in on your side of the district?
Jeff Jopling is the person that's had the role for 8 years. He's been the commissioner for this county for our district for 8 years, and then Gordon Wright is also running.
Oh, he's Gordon Wright's running.
Yep. So
Oh
there's
yeah,
three of
Right.
us. Yep.
it's
There's three of
so
us, and it's sort of like a very friendly race. Everybody's, we don't have any animosity towards each other. We just feel like maybe we would do things differently. What I would do differently is definitely communication, making sure that people know that they have a voice, making sure that their voice can be heard, and trying to follow up on any problems that are in the district and fund, making sure that we keep some of the things that is real important to me is Rocky Branch and the Special People's Park and things like that, just to make sure, they shouldn't be sitting in any kind of decay. I don't think we have a lot of money in this county. We have an organization that makes a lot of money off of tourism, and I think that the any place like Rocky Branch or the Special People's Park should immediately be fixed. And people give me a little tiny bit of a hard time, going, "You can't promise that." No, I can't promise that I'm going to be able to go to the county and get money from the county, but I can promise I'll find money somewhere, and I'll promise to get to just work on it all the time. I see what what we had, and I see things that are starting to fall apart a little bit, and I see how things are starting to change. I know that change is something that has to happen, but it doesn't have to be a complete change. Um, I don't know why, but for some reason I just saw something come by when it was Pigeon Forge saying the Bronco invasion here in Townsend. Why is Pigeon Forge advertising for us to have a Bronco invasion? Stuff like that. Like that's just stuff that doesn't need to happen. We want to be a certain kind of community, and we should start to work towards that. We should not try to be invaded.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. I don't know of many people that do want that. I do hear some that's like, oh yeah, cool, but not many at all.
No, it should be a nice place to visit. It shouldn't be an invasion type event. And I don't want to get some business people. Obviously, they need this income, and I get all that. I get both sides of it, and I do want them to make money. I want them to be successful and everything, but I don't know if it has to be like bring as many people in as you can one day on a 2-lane road. And
Yeah.
so
That way
I
they can
just see
just
things a
build
little bit
up
different. And I
kitchens
just
a
really
little
want to
bit.
work with the community to get the vision that they want to be put more in place than the vision of maybe the big developers that are rolling in. This
Yeah.
So
voice is important.
are there any developers? Are you seeing any in Townsend?
Well, right behind my house will be that yonder coming in very soon. I mean, we have not been told when they're coming in. That was an interesting situation too. That um, do you know what I'm talking about when I say yonder?
No, huh?
Okay. Yonder came a couple of years ago, and they bought property pretty much right in the middle of residential area. yeah, it was business. Why that was business is very confusing, but it was business property. So, um, but they wanted to rezone, and right here out my window, they wanted to put a barracks for their employees. And I have bears that walk through here right now, so that was not exactly something that we're looking forward to. So they want to come in and make a big glamping resort, and they came up here, and it was sort of a interesting thing because he came to make a presentation, and if you can imagine how well that went over in Townsend, and the poor guy, like he had a half hour presentation and he had 2 hours to talk to us, so he heard for an hour and a half about how terrible his idea was, and then
Right.
yeah, and then he had another meeting, maybe the next day, I think, and the same thing happened. So everybody hated it, and they weren't going to let him do it because you couldn't put a campground there. I can't remember all the exact details, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. You couldn't put a campground in there. So what they decided to do was our planning commission got together with our lawyer and decided that the glamping actually is a hotel, even though it's obviously not a hotel. And so it was crazy. They came in, the lawyer came in like he had won the lottery because he had found a way he could make that definition work.
Huh.
Um, and really disappointed the entire town. That's kind of why the town's not, they're just tired of getting defeated, I guess. So they got to get their way. It's a hotel now. It's a hotel, and so what ended up happening, and this is a little bit of speculation, but I live in an area next to them, and I guess they had a water issue, and they came walking into our place and trying to find out about our water. And when they were checking on the water, they got caught, and they were told they have to come back with permission. They came back with permission and some water guys, and they walked around, and there just wasn't enough water. I'm sure of that. And I saw one of the workers, and he kind of indicated to me like, no water. And they went away. They went away for 2 years until we have a water line. Yay! Now they have a water line, so they get to come back. Exactly. So they'll be back. Yeah, exactly. So they're going to build 75 little hotel rooms, I guess, with 75 fire pits right in my backyard. Chase away our bears.
Huh.
Yeah. So that was something that happened. That was a very disappointing thing that happened in town. And then the de-annexation was the other. Now that was Moon, Stinnett, and Hatcher. And I don't know if you guys know about that. The
But
de-annex.
hang on, because you talked about Gordon Wright, right?
Yeah.
Gordon Wright likes Moon.
Yeah, I saw that. I
Did you
saw
see?
that.
So I thought we would, since you brought up that he
Yeah.
was your opponent, and then so now go ahead and finish what you were talking about with Moon and the rest of them.
Yeah, so what happened was, as I told you, we were working on our 10-year plan, and we had a committee. We were really gung ho. It was a really great committee. And we did all the community surveys, and Blount County did theirs around the same time, too. And the consultants had never seen anything like it. The results were like everybody wants the same thing, the same exact thing. They want it to stay, obviously can't stay the same, but they want it to stay quiet, stay peaceful, the whole area. They don't want nobody wants what's going on. That's what's not fair. And as soon as that happened, like we had a meeting where Brian Daniels had come in. He was one of our advisors on our CPAC committee, which is where we did the 10-year plan, CPAC. And he came in and he talked to us about stuff. And basically what he said is, we've built a event center. We spent $10 million on it, and we will be using this. And you will not be telling us what to do with it. You know what I mean? That was the gist. And that was disappointing too, because I was there when he came in with that event center, and they came in and they said, yeah, we want to add some bathrooms to the event center. Obviously, people come in for events and they need bathrooms because they were always using those porta potties. And yeah, of course, that was true. And he said, we're going to add a little bit of a kitchen on there because sometimes the town gets overwhelmed if there's too many people. We're only going to use it if the town's overwhelmed. Okay. So that's what he said. I was there. I don't think that meeting was when we were taping meetings. So I'm pretty sure it wasn't on any kind of tape, but that's what they said. I never heard any amount that they spent. I don't think it was even asked, which is a good point to know. You need to know how much they're spending on something, on a project.
Right.
But so here he comes in now, years later, and he says, "We told you we are building we're spending $10 million, and we've invested that, and there's no going back from that." That's not at all what was said. We needed some bathrooms, is what was said. So that's just how things work, like there's just like a little tiny doorway, and then that's just how it works. And it just gets tiring to see that. And that's a big reason why I'm running. I just got tired of seeing things like that, to be honest with you.
Just what you're just saying, what everybody else is saying. You're just kind of more educated at saying it. So um, you
And
got
not afraid to say it. I mean, I don't want to
yeah.
cause any problems with anybody. I've always said from the very beginning, I've been somebody that has a little bit of trouble on both sides because, one side wants nothing and then this side wants this. And I've always been like, let's just find a way. I've always been that way. And I always want to be that way. I want the bridges. I don't want a bunch of drama and a bunch of hating and a bunch of problems and saying, you did this, you did that, you should have done it. Here's where we are. Let's start from here. Tell us what is going on truly. Let's have a conversation about it. Is that the real direction we want to go? And then go from there.
So is there a commission that's in Townsend as well? That's separate from the county commission too.
Oh yeah.
So
Yes,
you,
there's a planning commission and a board of commissioners,
so would
and
you?
we have a BZA. If something doesn't go through the planning department and somebody wants to go further, then they go to the BZA. We have a Parks and Rec, and we have a lot. Yeah, and
So
the CPAC for 3 years.
as a commissioner for the county, how much of that would you be involved at the city level of Townsend?
Currently, I'm a planning commissioner in Townsend.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. So I've been doing that for about, I think, over 6 months now. A little bit, maybe a little bit longer. So
Does the count as a county commissioner? Would you have any pull in any of that, or any say
I think
so?
it would really help. I think it would really help to have the communication, because that's something that's been missing. And that's something that I really was trying to work on all year is to pull my commissioner into the Townsend, because like I've been explaining, a lot happened. A lot happened up in Townsend the last couple of years. A lot.
Right.
And so that's really partly why I'm running, is because I was asking for that help and not getting it. And just saying somebody else needs to be in this room right now. It would really help if you were, that kind of a thing. But yeah, I think it would be very helpful to be communicating between the county and the city of Townsend.
Right. I don't understand why that wouldn't be logic. I just doesn't make
Well,
any.
here's a weird thing: is the planning commission? I think it's the planning commission in Blount County is on the same day as the planning commission in Townsend. There's something. The two meetings are the same day. And I do get a little bit mixed up on what meetings what day, so I could be slightly wrong. But there's two
There's
meetings.
a
So in other words, if you're in Townsend, you cannot go to the Blount County meeting.
Right.
there's a
Yeah,
lot like that we was talking about the other day. The Maryville meetings, the Alcoa meetings, school board
same thing.
meetings, Louisville meetings. Yeah, there are always multiple meetings scheduled, and they're all across town. So you got to pick and
Mm,
choose what you're going to go to and what
exactly.
you're going to pay attention to that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's got to make it hard for a commissioner. I admit that, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It makes it hard for a normal person, you
Hmm.
know,
It's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially.
Yeah.
yeah, just to know what's going on. And I find that, the more I've been involved in any kind of government, I just find that they try to make things very complicated
On
It
purpose.
does
on
seem like
purpose.
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
It
that's just
sure
not right.
does.
It's done by design
I
because you're
believe
not
so.
well, you're not smart enough. I'm not smart enough to understand what how to make all these little inner workings work, whatever how you say that, for this very reason, because I don't talk like they do. I'm not as quick to come up with something as fast as they are, that kind of thing. But give me a few minutes to sit down and go, and what the hell did you just say? Because that made no sense whatsoever.
Right, yeah.
And then
And
when you do try to learn, then you're misinformed
yeah,
instead of uninformed.
there you go, Robert.
Yeah,
Yep,
They
that's
can
true.
switch it up on you. You
yep,
know.
yeah.
You got to really be on your toes. And it took a long time for me to realize that. I had a lot of trust in a lot of things and a lot of processes, a lot of people. And I've learned that you got to be on your toes.
I trust none of them, no one, and that's okay. I like a lot of them though. As far as
Oh, yeah, very good
but
people.
once they're up there, um, I'm not, and not that everybody's done a lot of things that goes against what we're. They're just not doing. I don't think that they're completely listening to what's going on with their districts. So the
I
issue
think you're
is
100% right, Brian. That's 100%. That's a listening that just, and that's the more I'm talking to people, the more I can tell they have not been listened to. I even had a guy say, "What does a commissioner do?" He just had no idea.
well, I used to be one of them.
You did?
Yep, I used to
Or
be one
somebody
of
who
them
didn't
that
know, you mean?
I didn't know, and then I wanted to blame them for the things that they had no control over. Which,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
which thank God I didn't go up there and stand before them and take my 3 minutes and look like a bunch of them that come up there. You know what I mean? And because we're
No, I
not
think
good,
you should, whether you look funny or not. I think you should
it's
get up
it
there and say what's
no.
on your mind.
There's a process about it that there's a way that you can go up there and speak that they have to listen or address it. Maybe it doesn't happen right at that moment, but it happens further down or before. Maybe it's at a workshop or something. But we're not doing something, in my opinion, um, procedurally correct that
Mhm.
makes them have to do anything. And again, a lot of times we're going up there, we're asking them to do things when it comes to the these child protective cases and stuff, and
Yeah.
some of that's out of their hands. That's a legislative thing. That's a sheriff's department thing. It's a DA thing. That's a judicial thing. That's not necessarily a commission thing, except for the fact that they control the budgets to these things. So, well, if we
Mhm.
can't get these other entities to listen to what we say, can we go to the commission and ask them to keep all the emergency essentials in line that they have to function, but remove all their money that's extra for toys and fun things and stuff like that? Let them feel the squeeze there.
Yeah, for
We're
sure.
not allowed to have these events this year. We've had them for 20 years, and the reason we're not is because the DA didn't step up and do what he was supposed to. The judges didn't step up and do what they were supposed to, and so the commission took it out in the sheriff's department, and we don't have enough people to stand up and do that. So hopefully we can, with these type of conversations like this,
Yeah.
further into the future, we can teach people, that want to learn what's the right way to address these things. You know what I mean?
100%. 100%. And let me see if I can remember what you're saying. Like, well, I that's just to let people have a voice. I really think that is the key. Is let them learn that they have an avenue, like you said, to speak, and even if they're not responding back, they're still having to hear that. I
Well,
do wish they had to respond back, but I can see how that could get ugly.
I
In towns we do that some, and it's
I don't blame them now. You know what I'm saying? I don't blame them for not answering or
mhm.
trying to rebut. I just, and maybe some people won't like what I'm saying, but to be up there and hear what's going on, some of them conversations, I'm not saying anything either. Maybe talk to me later, or something like that. But William Goins says you got to be educated in the Roberts Rule of Procedure. That's not the first time I've heard that.
Mhm.
So maybe I need to look up what that is and get
Yeah,
involved in
that's
that.
great advice.
And
I could
see
use
and
that advice too
yeah, and
to
see how
study
that
that a
works.
bit, understand
Uh,
better because
exactly. So I just think that as a community, we're not doing something correct. And see, there's a gray area in this government. There's these gray areas. They're they're allowed to go as far as we allow them to go, right? So if they're voting against the things that we say we don't want, but they're doing it anyway, well, their thing is to vote them out. So here we are. We don't want the growth, and the growth has came exponentially quicker than what they thought. We want streets and traffic and all that stuff fixed, and so they have a long-term deal, a short-term deal, all this other stuff. But all these things were not included in the very first set of stuff, and it may be not part of some of these people that are on commission now may have not even had a hand in some of these things that we are seeing now because it happened in we'll just say the moon eras and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
mhm. Yeah.
Those kinds of things. So, um, but they're not. I'm not saying that they're not completely listening, but there's a process to that too. So anyway,
It's all gets so complicated, you know what I mean? And nothing's black and white. Even like that assessor vote, like people think, oh, these people voted for an assessment, and that's not at all what they did, right? I mean, it was just a different way of doing the assessment. So it, things just get presented in ways I think sometimes that make things even harder to understand. Things just need to be a little bit simpler.
so
The
you're
process
talking
just needs to be simpler.
right, but you're talking about the appraisal thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We
People are
we
kind of
we talked about that last night. The commission's can't be happy with Todd Orr. You know what I mean? That all these letters came out like they did just
Oh yeah,
right.
right.
Just I mean, a day before
Timing.
the early elections and the primaries. Just
Yeah, I didn't even think
we
about
kind of laugh
that.
at. I don't know if it was a blessing or a curse. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But
Misty
and
Davis put something out there right away, and that was appreciated because that was informative.
and as
Well,
they
shit,
should, I think they should try to what
what was that?
damage
All her
control.
post said
Robert, wouldn't you
really
say?
was that
What's that? Yeah.
kinda, but at the same time, really in that long post, all she said is, "Don't freak out because just because your property value went up
Yeah.
doesn't mean you're paying more taxes." But
I haven't seen
that's
mine
like,
yet. Mine better not have gone up because my property value went down. So
well,
you don't
that's
see
like we
somebody
talked.
red hot if mine went up.
That's
So
like
I
we
better
asked
not open it.
Jason last night.
It's
He's
going
been a
up, Christina.
homeowner.
Just
If for real?
He's It's like we asked Jason last night. He's been a
yeah,
homeowner since '09.
yeah.
When has your taxes ever went down?
Right, never.
Never. So, and you can guarantee they're going to go up, whether it's by a dollar, $10, $100.
Right.
It's
Something.
going up. It's going
Yeah.
up, and it's going up every 2 years now. And I may eat them words in 4 years. If I do, I'll happily eat those. I'd love to see property taxes come down,
Yeah, where is that?
one cycle. But that's not how it goes.
I was gonna see if my mail was here because I think I did just get it from my PO box. I should open it, but now I might not
We're
be
gonna
good.
do this live, right? Oh my God!
Yeah, live reaction. But
It's like-
when I bought my condo,
That'd be
a year
great.
later it went up a lot, and so it can. And now they're selling for 50,000-60,000 less, so it couldn't have gone up. It
Right.
surely couldn't have, but we'll see.
So, Christina, I will say this: you're a wealth of information, as far as that goes.
Thank you.
And on Tuesday night, you want to chime in, let me know, and we'll send you a link, and you can pop in and
Okay.
say what you
All
want
right.
to say, and
Yeah.
maybe even sometimes hang around if everybody's like, yeah, let's
I love
we'll
it.
keep talking, and then you can
Yeah.
give your own opinion because that's what that whole show is about. I know that's the four of us, but ultimately we want to be the four of us with other people that pop in and out, give their 2 cents. Would be nice to have somebody that knew a little bit, about the law, and then a couple different commissioners, from time to time. It would be cool to have that happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I don't
Yeah.
know how much they'll buy into it because again, then you're dealing with the public on a different level than which, because now it's social media. So if you get on there and say something that they don't like, well, you've
Yeah.
just put yourself out there.
Yeah, social media stuff.
Yeah.
I've never really dealt with it very much. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
I had no social media presence at all for like 10 years, none. And I had to put together a Facebook quick to do this.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Welcome to the
so I
Thunderdome.
did. And somehow
Exactly.
I think I just have the right message. And I'm really, I'm really seeing a lot of people come across here and really, that just tells you that people are thinking the same way. People are thinking the same way. They want to know what is going on. They want to know what the next process is. They want to know where we're headed and just
We just got to get
answers.
them to vote. We just got to get them to vote like they're
Yeah,
voting for.
yeah,
They need to treat this election like they're voting for president.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
You know,
agree. It's an important election.
I mean, no, it is the important. I mean, these elections are actually what shape us. You know what I mean? They affect us more than some of these. And I'm not saying that some of the presidential elections and Congress is not. They're all important. So not to say one is less than the other, but people place importance more on those than they do locally. So if you show up and pretend it's like a presidential or congressional
Yeah,
election, um, it would be nice to see the turnout 4 times as big as it's been 4 years
yeah.
ago. You know what I'm saying? What they say it was around 20,000, 25,000. Is that shorter? Maybe
Not very
35,000
many. I know that. Yeah.
For
Well, Stinnett, he ran
for these
unopposed. Can you believe that? If you had
primary.
ran against Stinnett, you probably could have won.
I don't
Oh,
know. I think the last primary was only like 12,000.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So, I was hoping I was high and not, somebody go, no, it was like 22,363, Brian. You was off a couple thousand,
Yeah,
It's like,
no, for the past 4 or 5 election cycles, it's been 12K or less people showing up.
Wow.
So it's presidential. It's like 70,000 or more.
Okay.
I mean, even Brong, his little poster he put out on Facebook said, "Sorry, I know I haven't been out there doing anything, but I've been busy as sheriff over your community." And then we're like, I'm pretty sure he's been golfing. I think he's been out of the state, and he doesn't reply back to anything. He doesn't answer anything, and
Oh yeah, he's not
he
talking
doesn't have
about
to get out here and do anything because he's going to get his 6,000 people that show up for the last 37 years of his time behind the badge there to make sure that he gets it. So if I can get 6,700 people that don't want him in office to show up and vote for Jerry Burns and push him to the golf courses in North Carolina and wherever else the hell he wants to go play golf. You know what I'm saying? So we need
he's
to
had a
treat the
good
selection.
run.
Yeah, had a good run. Yeah, see you, man.
Yeah. It's been interesting, hasn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
interesting election.
Very much so.
So we have the Broncos in town. Have you seen them riding up the road, Brian?
No, you're talking about the Ford Broncos. So, was that going on in Pigeon Forge?
No, it's Townsend.
So it's all up in Townsend, huh?
Yeah.
I need to show up.
Pigeon Forge sent out a notice on Facebook saying something about it.
So I need to show up in my Kia then, huh?
Yeah. Bronco people, they're pretty particular.
Yeah, but they're not from here, so I don't care how particular they are,
Exactly. Yeah.
So, that's kind of funny. Well, Christina, you gave us a lot of information. I don't know. You've kind of been a different conversation than maybe any of the rest of them. You were just more open and transparent about all the things that you don't like. Basically, is what made you run. You don't seem to have a chip on your shoulder about it. You seem like you want to do it in a, what is it, with a democratic process, right? I mean,
the word I'm trying to use, which I think describes me, is reasonable. I just want to be reasonable.
Be reasonable. That's great.
Yeah. I want to be known as reasonable for residents and business people. Anybody. I just want a good community where everybody can kind of get along, and see each other's point. We've been told before up here in Townsend that when we have things like the Bronco Festival and stuff, they say you should just stay home. That's not really a great thing to tell 500 people, that you should all just stay home on the weekend because there's something going on. I mean, that's not an answer. People have just the weekend sometimes to do their things.
That's true.
Yeah, so when you hear something like that, it's hard to hear that, because they're not hearing, they're not understanding.
Yeah.
And I will say, the other side in town, I talk a lot about Townsend because that's what I know, but the other side is in Townsend, the business owners, and I think this causes problems, but they pay all the tax. That nobody in Townsend has to pay a city tax. So the business owners pay all the tax, and that causes them some hard times. I mean, I think we think, well, we put up with a lot for that, but that's one of the things that makes things difficult.
Right. William Goen said maybe we can get the 6,500 Democrats that voted for Hatcher in the primaries to vote for Jerry Burns.
There you go.
That's funny. That's funny because in Mike Akerd's post, he had a guy jump on there and said he was a Democrat and he was voting for somebody else in the Republican primary, and then in November voting for his.
Well, I would if I were a Democrat. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you vote in the Republican Party? I sure would.
Wow, man, that's just wild. It's just, we should not be doing that. Yeah,
I probably would vote for people I didn't want.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. So, are you doing any meet and greets? Or are you hooking up with anybody else doing meet and greets, or working anybody?
Well, I guess I'm kind of running out of time on that. I did jump in this election at the very, very last minute, and I'm saying, I went and got my petitions right before, it was 48 hours before I had to turn it in. And I didn't realize that because, like I said, everything's complicated. I thought it was one election. And so I didn't have a lot of planning, and I was working and everything. So it was hard to get everything together. But now I have a little bit more time, and so I'll consider that for sure.
Right. Yeah, that's cool.
Will you come?
Yeah. We've tried to make it to as many as we could. We haven't promoted that we were there. But we showed up. We might have said that we stopped in, but I got pictures and stuff like that, and some video and that kind of thing. But we're We're just trying to be friendly to everybody and promote all that they got, even the
I
ones that
love
we
that. I love that.
don't
Just let
like,
everybody get to know
So,
everybody. I
yeah,
mean, why would you not?
that's
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
I know you
yeah,
saw Farah yesterday, and I got to see her just for a minute, but she was so sweet,
yeah.
and her that was her business, that billiards place. I didn't realize that. It's a very nice location, very nice and neat and
Yes.
clean, and I recommend it. I would like to go back and talk to her a little bit
Yes,
more.
it was very, very cool. Also, Lambert's Pie. They're right there on Broadway, like you're headed towards, was that Hall Road there?
Yeah, I saw you
There,
there for
yeah,
one of
on
the
the
meet
yeah,
and greets.
yeah,
Yeah,
on the left. Yeah, yeah, that is right. Yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah,
man, their stuff was fantastic too. I told
yeah.
them that we would promote them as well. So between the two of those places, Maryville Billiards and Lambert's Pie, I believe it's really called Lambert's Pie. I got their. I asked them to give me their menus just to make sure I didn't mess it up, and I'll be darned if I probably did mess it up. So anyway, they're very
Everybody
good,
knows what
but
you're talking about. Everybody knows.
they're only open for breakfast and lunch, and then they do like little things like I guess you can buy into where they can show you how to make pies and cakes and
Oh,
stuff like
okay.
that. They do like a little class, I guess is
Oh,
probably the
that's
right way
fun.
to
I
say
didn't know that.
it. Yeah, yeah.
That'd be
So
fun to do.
yeah,
Yeah, you like
so
that
very much
strawberry
fun.
cake, I think, didn't you?
I took a piece home. I sure did. Yeah. So I didn't want to eat any of it while I was there, but there was a lot of it. So, and then the food with that Maryville Billiards, they have pizza and chicken and all kinds of stuff and alcohol. So they do uh, a lot of billiard tournaments. I guess a few nights a week, and then but it was a nice place, just like you
Yeah, it
said,
was
man.
just
Very
very
clean.
clean and
Yeah,
neat, and I was
So
impressed with it for sure.
yeah, I was too. I'm going to go back. I didn't know it existed, so you know, for me, just to get out for an evening for a couple hours,
Yeah.
take my pool stick and have fun. You know what I mean? And it's not
Gosh,
so expensive.
I haven't shot pool in I'd say 20 years.
Well, I got
I
video of
wonder
me
if
and
I even
Robert
could.
How long it
sucking it up
takes a
really
day?
bad,
It's like terribly.
and
You
then
tried and you weren't good anymore? Yeah, me probably either.
we watched
I got a
we watched
couple in
Farrah
there.
What's
Farrah
that?
beat him.
Fair wipe the floor with me.
Fair wipe the floor with you, is that what you said?
Yes.
Effortless. Effortless.
Good, as she
So
should.
It's really good.
effortless, he said. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah.
Well,
So
that's
okay.
fine.
Anyway, you got
What
anything to
else we
say before we let you off?
Well, I really hope that you consider voting for me if you're in District 8B. I definitely have your best interests at heart, and I'm here to listen and here to just make sure that we all understand where we're headed.
That's cool. That's
Yes.
very cool. Very, very cool. So, all right, and we'll be getting together soon. Okay.
Yeah, it's great to know you guys. Thanks so much.
You have a good evening.
You too. Bye
appreciate you
bye.
coming
Bye
on.
bye.
See you later.
So,
Bye.
Oh well, Robert, Mr. Birthday Boy, what do you think? You're not
yeah,
a boy. I shouldn't say that, but anyway.
she's got a lot of information on Townsend. She was really
Yeah,
digging
man.
that deep. I'm gonna have to check out that website. Looks like there's a lot more on there than what
It,
we even just touched on.
it's very cool because she didn't spend as much time on her campaign because it's all about her campaign, the whole thing. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
the fact that she was all that money that's coming into that region right here, and who knew? She knew. I mean, we've been doing this for what, a few weeks now, a couple months maybe, and we would
Mhm.
have talked about that had we known, that kind of money for development had been coming in. So
700 million. That's a big
yes,
number.
that's a big number. Yeah, so probably looking at a little bit of that. Then the water thing, who knew? Who knows? You know what I'm saying? So that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, and hopefully she'll come on Tuesday or something, and we'll get her to give her
I got a
opinion.
feeling she will.
Yeah. So anyway, well, we'll get off here so you can go enjoy your birthday. Hopefully, someone's cooking you something on the grill.
We got back from eating. That's why I was late. Boss man let me
Oh,
off early, so we went ahead and hit Black Horse real quick.
and I told everybody he's running late from work. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that could kind of be true. I technically never really made it home from work yet.
I'm gonna have to start running a disclaimer at the beginning of these candid conversations. And look,
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
James said he wants some pie now. Well, I know a good place, but they're closed till tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh, Daryl G. Monday had a good comment on there. He says, I believe the problem may be we have not held our elected officials accountable. Christina is right on transparency and communication.
Yes, yes.
I say
I
that has
guess
some to do with it.
I think that's when, because I go down those little rabbit trails sometimes, when we're talking about they're not listening and there's things, Daryl's great. Daryl's great. He's another
Oh,
one we would love to have from time to time come there and tell me,
absolutely.
Brian, wait. You're not saying it exactly. You're saying sort of the right thing, not exactly legally the right thing, and that's what would be cool from time to time. So, but yeah, man, he's a wealth of information as well. So is Kevin J. McNeil. We'd love to have him on.
Yeah.
Maybe over time he'll see that we're not out here just trying to browbeat people or you know screen warriors, that kind of stuff. We want it interesting. We want to do our best to make uh, the truth come out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be hard to call
So
us screen warriors because we come out from behind the screen.
true. That's true. That's true. You know what we look like, right? So, and I mean, people know where we're going. So I guess if they really wanted us, it says they're trying to make towns in the next Pigeon Forge. It's exactly what they're trying to do. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
I totally feel that's in the books
and they need it to funnel through Maryville on its way into the
because
Great
they're
Smoky
already,
Mountain National Park.
yeah, because they're already, what do you call that? Applied for tourist district to get those grants and stuff, get all
Yep.
that money.
Yep.
Yeah, so that
Yep.
comes at a price.
So it makes you wonder when they did all that lane widening way back when, if they didn't realize they were doing that for this particular type of growth in the future, they just couldn't sell it to the public quite the same way as they're having a hard time selling it now still. So it just seems like they're just moving full steam ahead anyhow. So um,
Yeah, it does seem that way.
yeah, a little bit. So James said he'd like some of Hedrick's lemonade. The Black Robe Hedricks, is that who you're talking about?
Uh,
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 all right, brother. We'll get off here so you can finish out your birthday. Robert, for real, man. Thank you. I know she talked about how this thing, it's really grown. A lot of it has to do with you. A lot of it has to do with Crystal. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So, uh,
yeah, yeah.
we have a lot of comments, like 33 comments in the chat. There's always 6 to 10 live views going on at one time or another. You may not be able to watch it all completely from start to finish, but people move in and move out through it. You know what I mean? They catch it here and there.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
sharing the stuff, right? So we're seeing it, on these platforms elsewhere. We're on YouTube now, and eventually going to have it on what's it called? Substack, um, and a few other places. Might even go on X because some of these guys are promoting themselves. Some of our local politicians are on X. Did you know that? Um,
Yep.
yeah, so we could probably get out there a little bit, at least with Blount County Breakdown. There's a fee for that, but if this thing continues to grow, it'll be worth it. It'll start funneling in ways that we couldn't imagine. It already has. So, as far as views and likes and shares and the comments, because all these things are going to move an algorithm, even though it's little on a scale. But it was because it was so much smaller before, it wasn't moving nothing. So it's eventually going to hit something enough times that
Where it's
algorithm is going to
just like
pick it up and spit it.
exponentially
Yeah.
growing.
Yeah. So we appreciate all the likes, the shares, the follows, and promote us. We're not out here beating anybody up like that. We want these people to come on, and we want, when these politicians and stuff go away, other people like Melissa comes on Friday night. You know what I mean? And we'll do that. And other people would be nice to have somebody from the election board, to come on and explain just exactly how that's broke down, how that works.
Yeah,
Would be nice. I mean, it would be nice just to have some people come on to know that they're allowed to just talk and not worry about what sort of questions that they may get hit with, like you might somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? So,
right, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, conversate with the public that
yeah,
put their faith and trust in you.
that's right. Yeah, yeah, especially if you're elected too. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but all right, brother, I will see you caught up's tomorrow. Oh, the commission meeting
Commission
tomorrow.
meeting tomorrow night.
Yeah, the commission
Black
meeting
County
tomorrow.
Commission meeting, 6 p.m., room 430 in the old courthouse, all the way up top.
Okay, I will see you there, man.
Yep, I'll be
All right.
there.
All right, tell the fam I said hi.
Will do.
Later, brother.
Later.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed another episode of Candid Conversation. This one was pretty neat on its own. Not quite like any of the rest of them. Really liked it. Christina Delaney was full of information, and she is for Commission District 8 Seat B. And these early polls are open. And so if you're not happy with Mr. Jeff, and you don't like Gordon as the other opponent, then Christina is the individual that you should check off on the ballot. So y'all have a good evening, and we will see you tomorrow with